just have to see exactly what happens with it. But it definitely looks like it's chugging along. We were seeing about 26 miles per hour. That's also not helping it. The fact that it was moving so fast caused some of its problems yesterday, just when it was getting better organized. So if it runs over the islands, I don't really see much of the system other than just the rainfall threat, as you've both been talking about, out of Anna or its remnants.
Absolutely, Mike. And again, you're listening to IPR365.com special coverage update on Tropical Storm Claudette, also talking about Anna and Bill. Now, Bill is an interesting feature because Bill is very close to becoming a hurricane, and as of 11 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, it was at 13.4 north, 41.7 west, or about 1,320 miles east of the Lesser Antilles. So even though on satellite it looks like Bill's right there at our doorstep, it is still thousands of miles away from the islands. It's moving slightly faster now, west-northwest at 20, and that's expected to continue for a couple of days. Winds are near 70 miles an hour, and Bill is forecast to become a hurricane today, 990 millibars. And Michael Moss, taking a look at Bill right now, we won't know until 5 a.m. for about another 2.5, 3 hours, but I'm willing to bet, based on the satellite, that Bill is now a hurricane. What are your thoughts on it?
It's very close. The one thing that I haven't seen with Bill that I would like to see to make it more believable as a hurricane, one thing that's been affecting the Cape Verde waves this year has been something we've talked about time and time again each year, and that's some of the stable air to the north of this thing, mainly from the Saharan air layer. And these systems have had a hard time getting going with the combination of wind shear and these stable conditions. Now, Bill has a very well-defined area of thunderstorm activity around it, particularly on the southern end. The northern end's a little more skimpy, I think, and I think it's due to some of that entrainment of some of that drier air. I would like to see, it kind of fight off that, maybe move a little bit more to the west. And we've seen that, the central dense overcast feature on this system right around what would be an eye wall, but we haven't seen an eye pop out as of yet. So I don't think it's quite there. It's so close. The inner core is just about there, in terms of organization, but it's just not quite there. They may make it a 75-mile-an-hour hurricane at 5 a.m., but I think even then there's going to be some uncertainty because there's no recon data out there yet, so they're going to have to kind of go off satellite microwave imagery. It could be a hurricane at 5 a.m., but it's close.
Absolutely, and again, it reminds me a little bit of Hurricane Dolly last year as it approached Texas. It kind of was a little lopsided with more convection on the southern edge. It kind of flipped around and popped out an eye. Have a feeling we'll see that with Bill, which is forecast to become a dangerous major hurricane, but the track, Michael, appears to be heading more towards out to sea than we thought earlier.
Indeed so. And speaking of tropical systems, Anna's advisory is now in the 2 a.m. Atlantic Standard Time, Monday, August 17, 2009. Anna is now moving into the northeastern Caribbean Sea. All watches are currently in effect. It's now at 16.3 north, longitude 62.4 west. It's about 45 miles west of Guadalupe and about 185 miles east-southeast of St. Croix. It's moving toward the west-northwest, still about 26 miles an hour, and the motion is expected to decrease in the next 24 to 48 hours. Anna will continue to move over the northeastern Caribbean Sea and approach Hispaniola today. 35-mile-an-hour winds, maximum sustained. Higher gusts, little change in strength is forecast during the next couple of days. However, Anna could degenerate into a tropical wave later during the day today. 1,008 millibar pressure, and expected to produce rainfall amounts of 2 to 4 inches over the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin and British Virgin Islands, with isolated maximum amounts of a half a foot or 6 inches over the mountainous terrain. So not much change, really, if you take a look at it on Anna there, Mike.
Absolutely, continuing to move through the Leeward Islands in the Caribbean Sea. Now, again, we have landfall in the islands of Anna. We have the landfall in the Florida Panhandle of Claudette. But Mike Ferraro in here, it looks like Bill, we thought earlier Bill could slam the northern islands as a major hurricane, maybe Puerto Rico. maybe head up towards Florida, the Bahamas, or the East Coast, but it appears as though the weakness in the upper level ridge there is going to allow it to slip up, but that does not mean the East Coast and Bermuda are completely out of the loop.
No, definitely not, Mike. Previously, what you were speaking about, a lot of the models were very consistent. GFS and Euro and heavy dynamical models were taking Bill into the Caribbean, even Northern Islands into Puerto Rico as a major storm. In the past few days since Bill has developed, it looks like there will be a major weakness in the ridge as it approaches the islands, and that'll allow it to move more to the west-northwest and eventually northwest and curve away, hopefully from the islands and from Bermuda and the continental, the eastern seaboard there. And that thinking is based on that. It looks like there's going to be a significant trough with quite a bit of punch coming down, and that will hopefully start steering that away. Again, it's not 100%, and we are looking at, as you talked about not too long ago, with thousands of miles even before it approaches the islands. So we'll just have to watch it closely. But it looks like right now that we're going to be pretty safe here along the East Coast, at least for now.
Absolutely, but one place that isn't safe right now is Fort Walton Beach, Florida, because they're getting slammed as the center of Claudette makes landfall, and we do have the new advisory out. Michael Moss, what is the latest on Tropical Storm Claudette?
Well, not much change on the particulars of it, but it did make landfall near Fort Walton Beach, Florida. The tropical storm warning is still in effect from the Alabama-Florida border eastward to the Alcoa River, Florida. And there is still numerous inland advisories as well for this system, only up into central Alabama. It's now 30.5 north, 86.6 west, or just inland near Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Still moving toward the northwest. So 12, this motion is expected to continue today. The center will continue to cross the western portion of the Florida Panhandle this morning, and then it'll move into southern Alabama later today. Winds are still near 50 miles an hour with higher gusts. Weakening, though, is expected as the system moves over land, and Claudette will probably become a tropical depression later today. Tropical storm force winds extend upward up to 70 miles from the center, and we have an observing site in Destin, Florida that did recently report a wind gust of 45 miles an hour from the system. And the minimum surface pressure, I think that's come down slightly. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, 1,006 millibar now on the pressure. 3 to 6 inches of rain is expected with isolated maximums of up to 10 inches across the Florida Panhandle, the Big Bend region of Florida, central and southern Alabama, and even portions of extreme southwestern Georgia. Still, the tides could come in 3 to 5 feet above ground level along portions of the Florida Panhandle and the Big Bend region of Florida. And then at 4 a.m. Central or 5 a.m. Eastern, the next complete advisory will come out on Claudette. So, yeah, not much change in Claudette as well, but I think maybe that pressure might be slightly lower. I'm not sure, though, Mike.
Yeah, you're right, Michael. It's down 2 millibars. It was 1,008, now it's 1,006, so a little bit of strengthening as it's coming on in. And looking at the radar, you could see it was trying to form what would maybe be considered an eye wall earlier, but then that shear really took a toll, and it's kind of, without the convection over it, there is no rain shield on the western or northern side, so it kind of looks just like a little low-level circulation with a little bit of rain bands around it, and then all the rainfall off to the southeast. But absolutely getting some high winds there, and as Michael Moss mentioned, you know, there is some cooler shelf water there, and that could have played a role as well. So that'll about do it for this update on IPR on Tropical Storm Claudette. Making landfall now right near Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Winds of 50 miles an hour. Heavy rainfall and severe weather is the threat with that. Tropical Depression Ana is moving through right near Guadalupe and the Leeward Islands. It is forecast to head towards Hispaniola and quite possibly open up into a tropical wave. Whether or not it ever comes back, we'll be watching it very carefully. And Bill is on the verge of becoming the season's first hurricane, and it is expected to be also the season's first major hurricane, but thankfully missed the islands to the north and eventually turn more northerly out to sea.